This is the Old School Traveler. I'm back here again, and we're going to talk about Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee. Now, like I said, I'm a barbecueologist, and there are places I just love, love, and love. Memphis ain't one of them. No, 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 no. You know, it's kind of like on the first date, you see a place and you love it. Then, not even the first date. You turn on the lights and say, what the hell did I get myself into? Memphis is one of those cities. Let me tell you about Memphis, Tennessee. It's a big spread out city. Back in its heyday, Memphis was like the blues capital of America. At least they thought they were, and at least they advertised themselves to be that. Now, Memphis got a lot of crime. I'm going to start off by saying that. They got a lot of crime. I have driven on the freeways in Memphis, seen things that I haven't seen in a long, long time, if ever. Give you an example. I'm driving 65 miles an hour on one of the interstates on the what we would call ring road, and this car passed me about 110 miles an hour. I'm like, what the hell? And he's just weaving and wobbling and cutting, weaving, wobbling, and he's cutting between traffic, very, very close, almost hitting big trucks and small cars. Behind him, chasing him, is a state trooper. Now, I said the car's going about 110 miles an hour. The state trooper is going about 90 miles an hour. Now, I know some people are slow on math, but what math makes you think that you're going to catch that guy? What math makes you feel that way? So I was kind of like, this is crazy. And it wasn't like, now the guy's going 110, the state trooper's going 90. It's another guy. He may have been with the first guy. It's another guy. He is going about 110. He's like a thug, and he's doing the same thing. I'm like, I don't know if the state trooper is chasing these guys or these guys are chasing the state trooper. I don't know. And then you got a homeless problem that's kind of like, their homeless problem is different. The West Coast got homeless people who are just poor and they just on the street. Memphis homeless, they are a whole different level below the West Coast. It's like nobody told them, hang out by the nice hotels, hang out by the restaurants, hang out by the trash cans. No one has gave them the full playbook. Because the West Coast, those beggars and homeless people are kind of sophisticated compared to Memphis ones. They walk down the street pushing their cart and stuff. I'm like, hey, dude. If you just camp out by this nice hotel, they're going to feed you so you go away. Yeah. So no one's giving them the playbook the West Coast uses. But anyway, Memphis is a big, big spread out city. Memphis is definitely a city of have and have-nots. I know that if you're not the right race or got the right people backing you, you're not going to make it. Because in Memphis, I stayed downtown with all the nice people. Actually, I didn't stay downtown. Then I thought about it. I stayed in the suburbs. I didn't want to be downtown. So saying that, Memphis is kind of interesting in the fact that it's spread out. They got a lot of world-class hospitals. But Memphis really only got one employer in the whole city. One employer. And people can say, oh, I work at a restaurant, I work at a hospital. No. Memphis, the single employer that controls damn near the whole city is a company called UPS. No, FedEx. That's right, FedEx. They got all the planes. When you fly into the airport, you're going to see all these planes. Lots of them. They're all FedEx. They all look alike, same size. They're all FedEx. That is Memphis for you. As far as, now the hospitals, and like I said, they got a lot of world-class hospitals. But Memphis is really a city of have and have-nots. If you're not working in the hospitals or you're not an executive for FedEx, guess what? You ain't making no money. I'm talking about enough money to live on. Everybody got more than one job, unless you work at one of those, two employers, the hospitals or FedEx. If you're not working at one of those two, you really are working because you're going to have more than one job. You are working. So that's Memphis as far as how my view of the city. And, it was kind of funny that we went to a lot of restaurants and I didn't feel unsafe, but I always watch my back because it depends on where I went at. There's some shady parts of town. Now, every city looks different in the daytime and the nighttime. Not Memphis. What looks shady in the daytime looks shadier at night. What looked clean in the daytime looks shady at night. That's how Memphis rolls. And they got the University of Memphis. I drove past it quite a few times, and it's a good sized school, but it looked more like a commuter school or a school for those who can't get to the better schools in Tennessee. I mean, there's definitely a difference between a student can get in the University of Memphis, because I saw him, and what a student at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville looks like. Oh yeah, it's like taking two crayons 180 degrees opposite in color. That's just how it looked. And Memphis brags about their barbecue. Let's get to the food scene. That's what everybody want to talk about. They brag. You know what? We're not getting to the food scene yet. Let me tell you the other thing that Memphis has changed over the last 15 years since the last time I was down there. Now, I've been 5 times in the last 2 years, but before that, it was 15 years before I went down there. Oh, no, it was 5 years and then 10 years. Yes. Like I said earlier, Memphis advertised itself home of Elvis because they got Graceland, wasting money and time. You really got to be into that culture to think that Graceland is anything special. They charge you about $30-$40 to get a 2-minute tour. Graceland is not some mansion like people think it is. No. It's it's not. It's not like the Biltmore out in Nashville where you got 1,000 rooms and you got 900 employees. No, Graceland got 2 employees, probably some descendants of Elvis. But I think from my car in the car park, the parking lot is a lot bigger than the house. The parking lot is overbuilt. I had a person I was traveling with, Michelle. She kept wanting to go there. So went there 3 or 4 times, and I never saw that parking lot ever more than a third full. This is in the morning, this is in the afternoon, this is in the evening, because they have time slots. I don't know why. I have no clue why they have time slots. Maybe all the old folks trying to get there at a certain time, like 7:30 in the morning, because old folks like to eat breakfast at 6:30, do their running around between 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and be back home the rest of the day. But Memphis is just, it's nothing to do either. Now, Memphis got museums. I've never been to one of them. No, I did go to one. The National Black History Museum, and I went to the Lorraine Motel because I wanted to see history, or at least what they call history versus what I knew and thought I knew and how I interpreted things. So I wanted to see all that, and so I did do that. But they got other museums, and they advertise them. And so I was going to go to another museum, drove past it. I would have been the only person in the museum at 1 o'clock. And I didn't want to disturb the gate guard from his lunch, because I knew that this dude was on his phone, so in depth on his phone. I'm like, yeah, I go somewhere else. Now, back to Graceland, they charge you to park there too. I think that's where the revenue comes from. And every place you go visit, a museum or whatever have you, they always got a gift shop. You can see 2 items, or the tour can take 10 minutes. Nope. The gift shop got 5,000 items. You're like, what the hell? I didn't see none of that. And I went through the whole hotel or museum. Yeah. So let's get back to Memphis. Before we get to the food, let's talk about a place that I loved. I used to love. It's called Beale Street, home of the blues. Beale Street, Memphis. Back in the day when I was maybe 25, I went to Memphis, and Beale Street was about 15 blocks long. They had all the outdoor drinking. They had B.B. King's Blues restaurant. They had all these steak restaurants. They had all this stuff. But it was just an entertainment mecca. At night, they would block the streets, make it a street party. Oh, it was heaven. Now you go back to Memphis, Beale Street is all about a block long at the most. Every place is gone. If it's not gone, it's way overpriced, because, they could get a tourist in there knowing this tourist was stupid as hell, because why would he pay that much for BB King ribs when you got 5,000 rib joints and probably 4,000 are better than BB King's? I have no clue to why people do that in Memphis. I have no clue. But Beale Street is dead. If you want to have a street party, now it's dangerous. Go down to the French Quarters in New Orleans. It's right down the interstate. Take I-55 or whatever street you got to take. But Beale Street is dead. It's not what you think it is. It's overrated. I don't think they even advertise come visit Memphis anymore on any billboard around the country. Matter of fact, they don't even advertise that in Memphis. Nope, they don't. And now, like I said, Beale Street is kind of weird. Because I remember you had to pay a decent amount of money to park. Now they're paying you to park. You want to park your car, we'll pay you. Just come to Beale Street. Beale Street is nothing at all. You can walk through Beale Street in 5 minutes. And they got, little trinkets and little gift shops. They're all gift shops, but they're all relic gift shops because they're back how Memphis used to be. Now how it is today. Yeah, it is strictly a tourist trap. But the good thing about that tourist trap, it ain't very long. A block, if even that. But I've been there on weekends, so don't say, oh, it's just during the week. No. During the daytime, Beale Street is dead. And essentially, that makes Memphis dead. Memphis in May, the biggest barbecue tournament in the world. I love it because I'm a barbecueologist and I cater slow cooked food. So I'm a big fan of that. But you can't just have one event per year and want everybody to come see the muddy Mississippi. The Mississippi River runs between Memphis and Arkansas. I don't care which side you look from, that river is nasty as hell. To me, this is not true, but to me, in my eyes, it looks like just some big mosquito pond, about a quarter mile wide. Yeah, and I hear my uncles and my family and people tell me about Memphis and how great it was. It was great. It was great. It's just not great today. And then it gets very hot. Now, you're going to get 4 seasons out of Memphis. It may even snow. You're going to get 4 seasons. The spring and fall are beautiful. It's just that I wish there was more to do. And it's like the city, and it could be because of the city and the revenue and the state don't get along and all this kind of stuff. They don't put no money into anything in Memphis. No. I would have made Beale Street something you would have never, ever lost. Like, don't have the businesses on Beale Street pay taxes. But I can think of a lot of things that could have. But then again, if a business don't pay taxes, then you got the owner stealing money. Yeah, so you get the same problems. I don't know what you can do now. Now I think about all that. But it's one of those places that, it's got world-class hospitals. And it's not just one of them. It's got quite a few. Those doctors coming from somewhere. And, so you would think that you would get some money out of those hospitals. But a lot of hospitals claim they're non-profit. And we know they make a profit, So my whole thing is, I don't understand why this city that's got about 800,000 people is spread out like hell. And the population of Memphis is not dying. It's just stagnated. It's not going up. It's not going down. But it is definitely a city of have and have-nots. I've seen a lot of people that, I guess in the have-nots, because I didn't see a lot of haves. Now, I can say that in Memphis, back to the food. Now we get to the food scene. We're going to get to the food scene. Memphis, swear to God, they're the home of barbecue. Memphis and May got everybody thinking that. About 10 years ago, I would have agreed with that. But a lot of those places are from the same family, like the Neelys. Whether it's Interstate Barbecue, Neely Barbecue, they brag about who's the original, who wasn't the original. You got Corky's Barbecue, and I've been there 3 or 4 times. And actually, I think the best barbecue I had was in a place called Germantown. Germantown has some great barbecue and stuff. And I've had barbecue in those places and stuff. And that's where I see a diversity in the population is in a barbecue joint. Yep. You see old whites eating it. You see old blacks serving it. I saw that a lot. It didn't matter where I went to. I saw that a lot. And so you get what you pay for. And the thing about it, in all the barbecue joints I went to, They give you quite a bit of food. So that wasn't bad at all. And the prices are almost the same no matter where you go. I guess they buy it from the same supplier because a pig is a pig and 12 ribs is 12 ribs. So they're going to cost the same from the same pig. Who knows, But like I said, I saw a lot of people, minimum wage in the South is just ridiculous. And you stay down there and you put up with it. Okay, it is what it is. But it was just interesting that Memphis bragged about food and they claimed they got some great steakhouses. But the steakhouse that I saw that was crowded was the one on Beale Street right next to B.B. King's Blues. And everybody knows that that's a tourist trap. He's just going to rip you off. And I know they got other places. Germantown got a lot of good food, a lot of good food places. I didn't, let me say this right about Memphis. Let me get it right off the bat. I didn't have bad food. I never had bad food. But I want to eat diverse, a variety of food to eat. When I said I didn't have bad food, because I eat barbecue most of the time because that's what they're known for. So I eat barbecue quite a bit. And I never had bad barbecue. But and they all have smokers. So when you go to a barbecue joint in Memphis, you see the smokers. So it's not like it's all prepared in one place and brought to the other places. Even though I think that happens with like Corky's and a couple other places and stuff. But you don't see it, but you do see smoke come out of the back of the building. That leads me to believe there's a smoker somewhere, and that smoke could be just used just to add the smoke flavor to something that's pre-cooked somewhere else, which I'm sure it was. Because great barbecue joints, they run out of barbecue. Great barbecue joints at some point run out of barbecue. So they run out of barbecue, guess what they do? They close. Texas style. We got this amount of food, get in line, you want it, when it's gone, it's gone. And I can't tell you when it's gonna be gone. Because St. Louis style, that's how they do it. So my whole point of this was Memphis is not the Memphis you knew back in the 1950s. Memphis is, I don't want to say a declining city because it has declined. It has declined. And, the people are nice, but most of the people, here's a weird thing. Most of the whites that I met lived in the Memphis suburbs. Most of the blacks that I met, because I like to talk to people. I don't want to give you a tainted, this is, the old school traveler view, and this is the only view that matters. No. I like to talk to people as well. So in the hotels, and the upscale hotels that I stay in, I'm a big time Hilton person. And normally I stay in, the nicer Hilton hotels, always actually. They all lived in Mississippi. That tells me a lot about Mississippi without me ever going to Mississippi. If the people making $9 an hour in Memphis lives in Mississippi, the people making $9 an hour think they got a good salary in Memphis, because that tells me that Mississippi pays a lot less. So I can imagine what Mississippi looks like. People are traveling 15 to 20 miles to make $1 more in Memphis. Tells me that Mississippi is paying $7.30, $7.45, whatever it is, the minimum wage is. That's what they're paying. That's crazy. I mean, crazy. You're going to burn that in gas. But I guess every cent on the dollar makes a difference in your lifestyle. That tells me you're in the wrong area. So saying that, Memphis is not a city I would ever spend my personal money on at all. Not in Memphis. If you do, Memphis in May, or if you're into the Elvis, ecosystem, go to Graceland, get it out of your system, spend an hour there. You may be able to find something more than an hour, because they make those tours slow. When you tour those mansions and stuff, they make them like a castle. They make them very slow. So either when you leave there, you got one or two things on your mind. I got to get to the gift shop, or I get the hell out of here as quick as possible, and I should never came. You're going to be one of those two. There's no in between. And then I feel bad for the little kids that the mom and dad drag around to these gift shops. That little kid thinking, I could have been somewhere else, playing the pool. Don't get in the river, though. They call it the muddy Mississippi for a reason. It is the muddy Mississippi. You know, and there's nothing you can do about it. Mississippi is just muddy. When people take cruises there, you know, riverboat cruises and stuff, I just don't know. To me, they got a lot of dumb money to throw away. Because if I get on a cruise ship, at some point, I expect to see clean water. It ain't got to be blue. I expect to see clean water. In Mississippi, all the time I was in Memphis, I would go to Mississippi and fly my drone, and you see the drone shots. I never once saw clean water. I never saw clean water in St. Louis. I never saw clean water in New Orleans. I just never saw clean water in the Mississippi. But for some reason, a lot of people who likes, what do you call it, these riverboat cruises, they think it's the greatest thing in the world. I went to Memphis about 5 times with a guy named Maury. I don't think Maury ever went to the Mississippi. And guess what? He should have never went to Mississippi because I was the idiot in that situation. I went there the first time. I looked at it and said, oh, okay, maybe it's because it's seasonal. It's all brown because of the season. No, the Mississippi is not brown and dirty and muddy because of the season. That's a natural state of that river. So I don't know how people think that's exciting. And I think, well, I know for a fact that riverboat cruises, because I got a cousin who does this, and my cousin, they do it because they want to gamble. You know, they want to gamble. And speaking of that, the Mississippi cruises, or any cruise in the United States, is more than Viking Cruise Lines. It's the most expensive one in America because we have rules about who can manage that boat. And of course, when you got all Western people, you're paying Western wages built in a Western country, you're going to pay a lot more money for it. It's not like it's built in Thailand and shipped over. Those boats would never make it across the ocean. But my whole point is that Memphis is not, it should not be high on your list. Now, I'm going back to Memphis in a few months. I know the river's not changed, but how can you have restaurants that are not open on Monday and Tuesdays? That tells me, matter of fact, let me tell you a quick story. I went into a restaurant and the lady told me, you know, it had a decent little lunch crowd, maybe 10 of us, you know, and, you know, the food came out quick and she was flipping tables like every maybe 20, 30 minutes. And I asked her, I said, this is a nice little restaurant here. It was not in a seedy part of town. It was in an industrial part of town. You know, right next to it was a train track, which, you know, no big deal there. So I asked her, I said, hey, I said, what's your busiest time? She said, 7 at night. I said, 7 nights your busiest time? I said, interesting. Because don't you close at 4? She said, yes. Well, how is 7 your busiest time at night? She goes, that's when all my card players and gamblers come in. I close because they buy drinks and buy food, and I don't have to write that down on my taxes. That's after hour stuff. I say, oh, okay. So your busiest time is when you are not operating the restaurant. She said, I operate the restaurant to give my granddaughter something to look forward to when she get older. I said, okay. Yeah, this is an interesting city here. And she said, oh, are you from out of town? I said, yeah. She goes, I won this award, that award. She showed me all these awards she had won. And when I tasted her food, it was average. And then I got up, I looked at the date of the awards that she had won. They're dated back in the 80s, when she probably was the only restaurant in Memphis, or just her and Beale Street. I'm like, okay, because I had heard good things about it. I went back and read the articles. They're written in the 80s. That's the thing about social media and the internet. It doesn't throw anything away. It does not throw anything away, and it sucks because if you don't read the fine print, you'll think this was printed yesterday. No, it was printed 40 years ago. So this is the old school traveler telling you, save your money on Memphis. It's just not worth the money and the time. And if you got kids, God forbid if they find something to do in Memphis. If people with kids who go there, they're going to the kids' hospital. They ain't going and say, we're going to enjoy Memphis. Not at all. And Memphis, like I said, it's a dangerous city. It's got a lot of crime. And not only do you read it, but when you get close to it and you're not trying to get close to it, yeah, that says a lot. This is the Old School Traveler saying peace.